We'll get started. It's 12:01. Welcome. We're happy you're here for those of our clients that signed up. What day is it today? So today is officially Thursday, March 14th at noon. It is going to be 73 degrees out. So congratulations. We made it past winter and things are looking on the up and up for those in New Jersey. So
Ben, I don't know if we pass winter or not, or we're just experiencing global warming. But either way, I'm okay with it. So
we have we wanted to cover the agenda, then we'll do introductions and get this webinar going for you. So here's the agenda. We wanted to talk about the trends we're seeing with Microsoft and how it impacts you, our customers, what's new with Teams, especially regarding the calling application, integration with TeleCloud with Teams, taking a practical approach, some budget, what does this stuff cost, what's involved on the TeleCloud side and on the Microsoft side. We'll touch upon the requirements within Microsoft, which for those of you who know, it's involved. And then of course, we'll leave room for Q&A at the end, and we're here for you. So we encourage you, our customers, to you can ask in the Q&A section any question you want. We'll try to get to it live, but we'll wait to the end if we don't get to it. So your presenters, yours truly, many of you know me, not everyone, but for those who don't, my name is Vincent Finaldi. I'm the vice president over here. I spend a lot of my time talking with clients, and I've been doing this for about 18 years, so I learned a thing or two. Dame, you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, everyone. Damon Finaldi. I'm president of TeleCloud. My goal is always to look out into the future to go find new products and services that are going to positively impact our clients. And with Teams here that crashed into us, we'll talk more about that. I would think that many of us are using Teams on a day-to-day basis. So hopefully this is relevant. And Eric?
Yeah. Hello, everyone. My name is Eric Hernies. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Teammate Technology. Teammate Technology is a software company. We specialize in making tools that help organizations such as yourselves get more productivity out of Microsoft Teams. And we're very excited about our partnership with TeleCloud. And thank you for being here.
Absolutely. Dame, do you mind sharing high level some of the trends you're seeing in the
Sure.
marketplace with Microsoft?
Sure. So obviously we all know in 2020 COVID occurred and probably accelerated all of us using technology differently than it maybe would have taken a decade. And we've all heard these trends before, but Microsoft Teams is installed on every Microsoft user, and it's, in fact, I think there's over 380 million seats deployed worldwide. So it would make it, in terms of if it was a country, the fourth largest country in the world. So the way we're looking at this is it's not going away. Now, we know 91% of the Fortune 100 companies are using it, but at TeleCloud, that really isn't our clients. However, we know that a lot of our clients are trying to figure out, well, I'm using Teams, and I'm using Zoom, and I'm using WebEx, and I'm using Google Hangouts. And there's some confusion now over what's best for the business. Now, we're not going to answer that question today, but we are going to talk about how you can use Teams for voice with TeleCloud. And it's just a tool that we already have maybe on our mobile devices and our desktops. And the purpose of this webinar today is just to explain to you how that's going to impact you, what are some of the costs, and what are some of the benefits. Thanks.
Thanks, Dame. And before we dive into showing you, let me see if I can launch this poll really quick. So first off, for those who joined, thank you. But I imagine there was some interest sparked. So I'm going to launch this poll. And if you don't mind, we have 19 unique customers on. If you don't mind taking a quick second to just, there's no right or wrong, you don't get in trouble, whatever you want to pick. Nine, thank you. 10, we're almost there. 11. All right. So in our data set, which is 11 of the 20 clients on, about 11 answered. A few of you are already fully invested in Teams. 2 of you are considering investing more into Teams, and there's costs involved on the Microsoft side. 4 of you just want to learn more. And a couple of you said, we just think it's important to give our team one method of calling using Teams, which is great. So thanks, guys. This gives us a little bit of insights into what you're thinking. Appreciate it. We'll share the results. Okay. And then why don't we do this? Why don't we take the next slide? I'll stop sharing. And it's really Eric is going to showcase why we believe Microsoft can make a great calling application for your business. And it's a little bit of the actual tech and the actual demo.
Yeah, so I'll show you what it looks like to use Teams, but first, just a couple words. You know, one of the things that Microsoft did when they developed Teams was they made it open in the sense that it can be integrated with other tools. And so what Teammate has done is created a way to integrate it with TeleCloud and essentially allows it to become your phone for all intents and purposes. That means you can make and receive all of your calls through Teams in much the same way that, you know, you might, if you're using Teams today, make a call to one of your coworkers inside Teams. You know, through this integration, you can receive phone calls with the rest of the world through TeleCloud, and not only that, access all of the great features that are available, you know, through the TeleCloud platform right inside Teams. And so it's a pretty convenient way of using the telephone if you're a Teams user. And what we're finding is that more and more people are spending a lot of their time inside Teams because there's so many integrations within Teams. You know, CRM systems, accounting systems, pretty much everything has an application inside Teams, and so people end up spending more and more time inside Teams. And sometimes it's you know, it's taxing to change contacts where you're communicating with your fellow workers inside Teams, but then you have to switch to another application or your desk phone to talk to outside workers. And so in some cases, people find it convenient to just focus all of their communications through Teams. And so that's what this tool is all about. Now, what makes it a great soft phone is primarily the fact that Microsoft has spent billions of dollars in investing in the Teams ecosystem. And you know, they've built a pretty compelling product, you know, that when you combine it with TeleCloud makes it really a great combination. And it's just a couple of the reasons for that is, number one, because it's pre-installed with Windows, it's pretty much everywhere. If you're a Windows user, you already have Teams on your desktop. So there's no extra app to install. You don't have to worry about, well, how do I get it to so-and-so who's a remote worker in another place? You know, we don't have IT there, you know, no worries about that because they already have it if they're a Windows user. The other thing that's very nice about it is it's a consistent user experience across all kinds of devices. So whether you're using a Windows PC or a Mac or even a Linux machine or a tablet or your mobile phone, all of the features of Teams work the same way across all those applications. And that's a pretty, you know, that's a pretty difficult thing to do as a software developer. Of course, Microsoft being who they are, that they pulled it off. But that's one of the things that people find nice is that they can switch devices or even use multiple devices. So, you know, that if you're at your desk on a Teams call and you want to get up and, you know, you're on your way to a meeting, you can just switch that call to your mobile device seamlessly without you know, dropping the call or having to call the person back. And that goes for all of the devices.
And that could be, Eric,
now,
for Eric, that could be for video or voice, right? I mean, this is a seamless experience.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Now, if you're accustomed to using Teams, most people do it for Teams meetings, and of course, you know, different organizations use different types of collaboration tools. But I'm sure if you're on this call, you've probably at least been invited to a Teams meeting at least once. One of the things that's great about Teams is the quality of service. Microsoft is probably, you know, it's in the news all the time, but they've spent a lot of money on artificial intelligence, and they've taken that artificial intelligence and put it into Teams in a different ways. Number one is just without getting too technical here, they call it a codec, but that's the algorithm that's responsible for taking your voice and putting it out over the internet. And what can happen is, especially if you're on a mobile device, you can have poor network quality connections that can voices for everybody has, or the dropped parts of sentences. I'm in a hotel room in Las Vegas right now, and hotel Wi-Fi is not always the best, and we're not on Teams right now. But what I found is, Teams works pretty consistently good across any kind of network that you might happen to be on. The other thing that they use AI for is noise reduction. So if you're in a busy hotel or lobby or an airport or even an open office with other people, or probably more likely you're at home and your kids or the dogs are making noise in the background, Teams can filter all of that out, and they do a pretty good job of it. So all of those things carry across through to telephone calls through to cloud. So just a few of the things, the features that reflect the amount of money that Microsoft has invested. And then
Eric,
the last
if
thing,
I had a question for you, in the past,
Sure.
we've all kind of seen Microsoft products like Skype or Office Communicator services kind of come and go. Microsoft, being as large as they are, can decide, hey, we're only making, a couple $100 million doing this, like we're going to get rid of it, where, they're at the size where they can make decisions like that. I mean, what's your thoughts on them keeping Teams now and not changing their mind like they did with the other products?
Yeah, that's a good question. They've tried to do this kind of thing many times in the past, which is to make their products more business friendly with respect to phone calls. And as you mentioned, they've pivoted away from their strategy a few times. I don't know the answer to that, frankly, but from the fact that they have so many users, they're by far the largest collaboration platform in the world. I think it would be quite an unusual thing for them to turn it off or pivot away from it at this point. And again, they've spent billions, not even hundreds of millions of dollars developing it. And it's you can't argue with success. They have the users to show. So
Great. Thank you.
Anyway, okay, so what I'd like to do now is to share my screen and just to show you what it looks like to use Teams as part of TeleCloud. So give me a second here while I pull that up. Okay, so this is Microsoft Teams running in a browser. Now, Teams can run on your mobile device or your desktop machine or whatever device you happen to have, but it also runs the same way in a browser. So no matter where you happen to be, you can just pull up a browser and access the same feature. So that's another convenient aspect of it. But what I've done right now is I've clicked on the icon on the left that says calls, and if you're if you're a Teams user, you can browse to this section and you can talk to other people in your organization. So you can click on one of your colleagues and basically call them. But if you deploy the phone system feature in Teams, and we'll get to the license, that's a type of license. We'll get into that in a bit. Now you can dial outside of your organization to any phone number, and you do that through this keypad. And so when you pay for that phone system license, you get this keypad that allows you to make your business phone calls through TeleCloud. And so you use it the same way you'd use any phone keypad. You can dial a number, you can dial an extension, you can dial really anything that you could dial on your business phone. Your business phone number is displayed down here, and that can be either just your extension if you're an user, or a full phone number if you have a DID. It's really quite flexible. So anyway, you make and receive the phone call through this interface. You'll see here there's a history that shows you your recent calls. There's also a speed dial section where you can save numbers of your frequently called people. But what's convenient is it's tied into the Azure directory service. So all of your organization's contacts show up here. I'm using a demo account without too many contacts. Many organizations have hundreds, if not thousands, of contacts. So there's no question about, well, how do I get to the phone system, which can sometimes be a chore. They're automatically here. When they're updated in the directory, they automatically update here, and they're available for you to see and to call, dial. So that's the user experience of using Teams as your phone endpoint. And I'll note, it doesn't have to be one or the other. You don't have to give up your desk phone to use this. You can use this in combination with your desk phone. So you could be using your desk phone when it's convenient, but when you're at home or traveling, switch to this, and it's just another part of the system. It rings the same way your desk phone would ring. Now, what we've done in our integration is to take this, to merge it with the TeleCloud features. And so there's a couple of ways that benefits you. The first is that you can access your and again, this is a test system. So this logo is just a test logo, and name should be TeleCloud. But what you see is your TeleCloud user portal. So just clicking on the icon that shows up in the left menu section, you can get in and manage all of the features on your TeleCloud platform right inside of Teams. And so, things like seeing users and who's on calls and accessing all of your features are right there for you. The other thing that we've done to integrate it is to be able to show you information and merge it with the calls. So when you get a call, for example, you get a little activity blip that shows you information about that call. And I'm going to go here to an example of a call I made a little earlier. And so here it's saying I made an outbound call, and gives me some action items that I can do. I can call this person back. If I wanted to schedule a meeting with this person, I could click schedule meeting. That would open up my Exchange or my Outlook, depending on what I'm using, and I could create a new meeting for the future. Or if this is not somebody who's in my contact book today, I can add this number to my contact, and it gets put right into my Outlook contacts. So it's a tool that makes things a little more convenient. Now, in addition to that, we've also integrated SMS messages. So your business SMS, which today you're using, also show up in Teams, and I'll show you that. So that's just another app. You come here to the app section, and it's important to know that your business SMS communications, when you use them for business, there are sometimes limitations around how groups of people can interact with message senders. And so one of the great parts about Teams is that because Teams is built for teams, of course, you can create teams of people, and they can all interact with a single SMS sender. And that's done in a couple different ways. So this is part one of the interface, which is just a typical chat interface. And so here you see have a recent conversation section on the left-hand side, which shows people that have sent messages. And note that there's a name when a contact. So if that person is in your contact book, your address book, their name will show up instead of a phone number. If they're not, then you'll just see the phone number. And this is the inbound message, and you can just type out an outbound message, and it gets sent to them just like it would from your mobile device.
So Eric, if I could just weigh in here, and we've been talking about SMS services with our clients now more often than not. So on the TeleCloud platform, we can SMS enable any of the business phone numbers, and there's a lot of reasons to do that. So you're saying that not only can they take one of their corporately owned or controlled numbers, but now that SMS is going to show up in the Teams interface. So it's still, once again, giving them that single pane of glass for their user experience.
Absolutely. Yes.
Great.
And so when you're in here, and if you wanted to send out a message, you could just come here and click new conversation. And type in the name of anybody that's in your contact, it will show you the match. You just select them. Now you can send an outbound message. So that's pretty convenient. But in addition to that, you can. What happens is when a phone number is SMS enabled inside your Teams environment, it actually creates a team. And if you're a Teams user, and I feel like I've said Teams a thousand times so far in this conversation, but there's no getting away from it. But when you have a team inside Teams, you can assign people, team members. Now, when somebody sends an SMS message, it's not just you that sees it; it's everybody inside of that team. And of course, Teams has pretty granular controls about uh, who gets to see, who gets to be included in Teams, who gets access to the history, things like archiving, and all of the security policies that you might want to be able to turn on and off for your group are part of Teams. So now, because these SMS messages are in part of the native Teams experience, they're in a team. All of those policies can now be applied to these messages. So here's that same message I showed you. Now it's inside a team. And again, I reply to the message right here. But not only that, all of the members of this team can see that message, and we can chat about it internally without, having to send out to the sender. Or any one of us can, just click respond and send a message, a reply back to that sender. So we use it in a couple different ways at Teammate. Like internally, we use it for our sales department. So if somebody wants to send a text message to our sales line, it shows up and any one of our sales team sees that message and can reply to it. We also use it for support. If somebody tries to connect to our support department, anybody on the support team can see that message and, can talk with other team members about it and then respond to that message. And I apologize.
So Eric, if I could just add then, so when we have the TeleCloud Text View product, which we've talked about is good for group messaging, but is also able to, let's say, blast out messages to multiple people. This really isn't designed to blast out. This is really if I have a sales group or a customer service group and we're getting an inbound message and we want multiple people to cover it. One person can cover a number, a team of people can cover a number and not worry about it getting lost in one individual's inbox.
Exactly. Yeah. This is not about sending marketing messages out, to your customer base. It's more about, collaborating as a team with individual customers who want to contact you by SMS. And again, I mentioned it before, but those policies are really important. There are a lot of industries that are tightly regulated, healthcare with HIPAA, for example, or financial industries, and who gets access, and audit trails about who accessed the message when, in case, say, patient information was compromised in some way, is very important. And because Microsoft has all of those controls built in, you get to leverage them and be able to apply them to your SMS messaging.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, my pleasure. So that pretty much covers the highlights of how it's used. Happy to answer any questions that might be more specific.
Thank you. Let me get back to my my agenda here. Just give me a sec.
Eric, I know we had, and I don't want to jump ahead if we're going to cover this in our next part. I always like to look out to the future, right? And all of us are finding out the AI. We hear about ChatGPT. We hear about things it can do for our business, both internally on systems, but as well as externally with client communication and management. And none of us really know how it's going to impact us. It's just unknown. Is there anything that we can do with Teams that you believe is going to have an AI component, with Microsoft having both invested in OpenAI and ChatGPT, as well as bringing it into the Office 365 suite?
That's a great question, Dame. And one of the downsides of doing these live demos is it's a little nerve-wracking because sometimes they don't work. And actually, that was meant to be part of my demo, and it completely slipped my mind. So if you don't mind, I think I can answer your question and show the audience here.
Oh, sure.
Great.
Yeah, I'll
Why not?
stop sharing.
Sure. No worries.
But AI is of course one of the really compelling reasons that people are finding to use Teams. And so, as of course, Microsoft is spending a lot of money on AI, and they're slowly letting it filter out into their products. And just recently, within the past couple months, they've made it available to pretty much any Teams user. Before that, they had released a Chat GPT kind of interface they call Copilot, but it was only available to the mega corporations, the ultra large enterprises. Now it's filtered down to the rest of the world, and it's really, when you're in this call section and making a call, you get a little switch that when you make a call that lets you turn on what they call transcribing. And what it's doing is it's recording and transcribing the call as you talk. And it's really kind of freaky, not only because it happens in real time as you're speaking. You see the words like as captions across the bottom of the calling screen, and it's really good. And they can even do it in different languages. So, if you want it to translate as it transcribes, it can. That it's amazing. But and of course they're using AI to do that. But the other thing that they do is they make Copilot available as part of the interface now. Here's an outbound call that I made yesterday, for example. And if I hover over it, well, first I'll click on it, and you'll see the transcription is right here. So it transcribed that call as I was talking, and the transcription is here. And if I click it, it will show me the text of that call. But what I can also do is click this ask about this call. And what this launches is an AI interface, which is like ChatGPT if you've used it. It happened fast. It gives you sample prompts that say, the suggested input, suggested prompts. So I clicked, what was this call about? And it gives you a summary of the call. So it basically takes that call and summarizes it. But you can type in anything. You can say, give me a bullet point list that I can share with my boss, right? And then it will format the response to your particular prompt. So this is a game changer, really, because if you're on a long meeting,
It's amazing.
Yeah. I mean,
it is.
really...
And I see some of our clients that are in here, and having provided tools to help people manage their businesses for my whole career, the biggest challenge I found is call recordings, because they're great for quality assurance, they're great for training, but the reality of it is most small businesses don't have somebody that's going to go literally purse through all the call recordings
hours of messages.
and it's hours of work.
Uh-huh.
Unless there really isn't a problem or somebody really has got that mature process where they'll pick 2 call samples and train per week. So what I'm finding now is not only can the text transcription speed this up, but it's indexing it, and you can learn from this too. So it can help start populating future things like web chat responses to customer service queries. It can help eventually, and we're seeing this some of our other solutions, provide keyword alerts. So if you got a customer service call and somebody said something that sounded angry or it wasn't worded right, it's going to be able to proactively alert a manager to say, hey, check me or coach me up here. And that's a game changer. I mean, that's just allowing us that we're all so busy, but every now and again, I'll see something that comes along that I know can change the way we operate our businesses. And I believe this is one of those things.
Yeah, absolutely. That is such an important. It turns the act of call recording into something that really is very useful, and then can be applied across the organization. For example, if you're having a call about a specific topic, ask AI, well, tell me all the other people who talked about this. And it's not just phone calls, because it pulls in your chat messages and your SMS messages and everything else. So it can say, well, this topic has come up 4 times in the last 2 days, and yesterday so and so talked about it in this context, and it's scary. I mean, amazing but scary. But
it is, and I always say this is the worst the products are going to be.
They're only going to get better. Yeah.
So as all of us are kind of, muscling our way through how this is going to impact our businesses, I mean, look what just happened with us using collaboration tools in the last couple of years. I mean, this is going to be that exponential curve where I start thinking it's going to be in 5 years from now, we're all just going to be like, oh, that's just the way it works now. But right now we're all kind of going through this adjustment period and figuring out how is it going to impact our businesses and our people and our clients. But this has a lot of positive impact when used right. So I'm really excited about this stuff.
Yep, absolutely. Thank you for reminding me.
Thanks, Eric.
I'll give you the floor back to you, Vince.
Cool. Absolutely. All right, so let me get back. So clients often ask us, like, what's a practical approach? Because you have a TeleCloud phone system with some traditional hardware. There's just a few kind of talking points we would say to think through. Determine on your end, at your company, like who would really adopt it? Like, what are the users? You know your users better than we ever will. Like, who would benefit, at ABC customer of utilizing Teams mobile and soft phone? And a lot of clients ask, can I do a mix and match approach? Meaning, let's say you have 50 phones. Can I do 20 Teams users and keep the rest traditional for certain users in the business? And the answer is yes. You could still take advantage of the Teams calling, but still keep traditional IP phones if you perceive it would help, the end user at your company for certain type of employees you may have that are slower to embrace this, should I say. And then some clients are like, hey, can I just go all in? And the answer is absolutely. You can remove all hardware and be 100% software based. So there's a few different ways to skin this. And it's really flexible on the TeleCloud side. And I just wanted to mention some clients have, that have physical presences that have overhead paging and door mates and faxing. Like, this does not impact the phone system. Think of it like an integration and an enhancement. So not to confuse you, if you have other ancillary TeleCloud services, they'll remain to work even if you make calls out of Teams.
Well, and I think one other practical thing too, Vince, and this is
Mhm.
probably the biggest thing, is our clients are used to having us as their outsourced concierge service for their telecom. Like, they call us
Sure.
for everything and anything. This does not require the client to call Microsoft for support still. They're still calling into us for support. And though there may be some overlap now with the Teams technology itself, because obviously that is a Microsoft product directly, it's still TeleCloud in our team that's providing the voice calling services and all the things that go along with it, like we currently do. None of that's changing.
Thank you. That's good.
I don't know if anyone here has ever spoken to a Microsoft support rep.
I'm still waiting on my callback.
Well, I can personally say I did once, because if you have teenagers and they rack up points on Fortnite and Madden on my credit card, you can get the money back, but you have to do it all through a web chat interface. That's the only time I've interacted with Microsoft customer service, is for illegal teenager Xbox purchases.
Thank you. Just to give you ideas on budget, and you guys know this, reach out to us privately if you want to talk about your account, because we have 25 clients on, so I can't do anything custom. But generally speaking, for some small basic add-ons for under 30 Teams calling licenses, it's about $5 per user per month. And on the next slide, we'll have Eric and Damon mention what's needed on the Microsoft side. So on the TeleCloud side, it's $5 per users per month per user, which would enable everything Eric showed. If you wanted SMS texting, it's separate, and we have to see if you're text enabled right now or not. So that would just be for the calling plan, not texting. If you want to do this for every user, just reach out to us privately, because we'll look at your agreement holistically and make sense of that. And then one-time fees, it varies, but there are some professional services typically involved. They're low non-recurring fees for some of the engineering and effort to do this. But in our experience, it's usually 1 hour to a full day if you're a scaled organization. But I just wanted to give you a flavor on what this stuff costs on our side.
Yep, that's for part one. And obviously, for those that are paying for Office 365 licenses, right? That's part two of this, right, Vince?
Yeah. So whoever, Damon or Eric, on the licensing side of Microsoft, it's involved. It depends on where you're coming. So do you mind touching upon this?
Sure.
Guys?
Eric, you can go ahead and frame that out here, and I'll chime in if I need to.
So when I showed you that interface, there was a dial pad there, and that dial pad only appears if you have the phone system license from Microsoft, and that phone system license is typically an add-on. It's included under some plans, so the higher level Microsoft plans, E5, G5, A5, they throw in everything. And so you may have that if you rely on Microsoft for their business intelligence tools or some of the other types of tools that they only include in those higher licenses. And so if you have one, you get it at no extra cost. If you have a lower level license, then you have to buy an additional add-on called Microsoft Phone System. Now, that's you shouldn't confuse that though, because Microsoft also has something called calling plans, where they'll throw in the phone number and minutes, to that, and so they would typically charge about $20 a month for that phone system with the calling plan, and you don't want that because you want to be able to use Teams with the TeleCloud system. So you need the phone system without the calling plan. So that is an extra cost that will depend on your existing licensing from Microsoft and whoever you buy your Microsoft licenses from, but just be aware that that's a requirement. I will note that Teammate is developing a new version of our platform that will not require that phone system license. It's something that we're working with TeleCloud to test and deploy. But maybe something just to keep in mind if that phone system license seems excessive to you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. At the end, we have, so we're at the tail end of the webinar. We got a couple of questions from clients that I'll mention out loud, and then Damon or Eric, we could determine who answers it. All right, here's a question from a wonderful client named Maria. Would the translation have the same legal implications as the call recordings now do?
So I'll take that. New Jersey's a one-party state, so we've talked about when you do call recording that, as long as in the auto attendant we say that these calls may be recorded, that typically is all we need to do, even though in today's day and age, I think it's almost assumed now that everything's recorded, guys. It's almost everything we do, either in our collaboration tools or on our phone calls are. The transcription would be just the data of that. So I don't foresee that being any different because once again, you're just taking something that was already in a audio text format and just turning it into transcription. So it's not like you're gathering any new data there. It's the same you already have and are storing.
Thank you. Another client asked, named Rich, if for clients running our call center, so TeleCloud call center in the portal, would they be able to see that if they were using Teams for calling, like the portal access for the call center?
Eric,
Yes.
you can go ahead and take that.
Yeah, absolutely. Whatever the TeleCloud system is, will show up inside as part of Teams.
Thank you. So Rich, if you wanted to literally see it, we'll email you separately for the sake of everyone else on the webinar.
On my demo account, I didn't have the call center access.
Fair enough. And that, I believe that answers the 3 or 4 questions we had. So for those on, thank you for your time. This was my joking face of the confused John C. Reilly. That's like a famous GIF. Anyone knows that type of humor. But anyway, we hope you got a lot of value from this. If you have any questions, I didn't add our contact information, but if you don't know how to find us, you could simply just email Vin at telecloud.net and or call us at 908-378-1218 and we'll give you attention. So for those who don't, I'll send my contact information after. You could start with me and I'll have someone on my team help you if you have any specific questions. But I think that sums it up. I think that's a wrap.
Great. Thanks everybody for joining.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate everyone's time.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks.
All right. So
Thank you.